How's it going, everyone? A lot of rumors circulating about Warner Brother Games and what's gonna go on there. It looks like a lot of interested parties are looking to acquire the studios and license IP. We'll talk about that. And also, speaking of Warner Brothers, Gotham Knights, interesting note on that game. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, Imran Khan did tweet out, couldn't get enough confirmation to actually write a post about it, but hearing a decent bit of chatter this week about WB Discovery shopping their game development studios around. Interested parties include EA, Take-Two, Microsoft, Sony, Tencent, NetEase, and PUBG Corp. WBD wants to sell studios and license IP. Remember that Discovery and Warner Media recently had their merger, so a lot of things are in flux right now, but man, that is a hefty acquisition if a Microsoft or a Sony could get that. I'm surprised that the EAs of the world are interested as well, and Take-Two acquiring WB Games would be wild as well. Microsoft getting it, I mean, that's pretty huge for them, because that's another huge publishing, firm that they are just acquiring, and that would be another gigantic company under their umbrella. I really don't want that to happen, but I don't want it to happen with Sony as well. I don't want these, like, mega conglomerates with all of these publishers, but yeah, if they don't want to remain with somebody else and they're shopping around, and that's kind of the story of how things are gonna go. It's something that's gonna be in flux. I don't know if Sony's gonna put forward the capital that Microsoft is gonna put forward. Microsoft is in a spending spree. I don't know if Sony and PlayStation are gonna be at that level to acquire the top, like, these big publishers. I just don't know if that's gonna be the case. Maybe they can acquire a studio or here and there, because you have to think about it, getting like a Rocksteady would be absolutely huge. Just to acquire that talent, or like a NetherRealms or something like that, that's like a pretty major acquisition given the talent and the IPs that you're gaining access to. Like, could you imagine Rocksteady being acquired by Sony and having Sony's portfolio to work with? And that would be a pretty major acquisition. Again, these things are going to constantly be in flux, so I'll keep you guys posted, but this is something that is definitely going to be an interesting story to follow. I don't know if this is connected to that talk of Sony being in talks about acquiring something. It seems like so many parties are involved in talks with WB Games that I don't think that this is related to that talk that Greg Miller had a while ago, where there was rumblings about an acquisition. And acquisition talks, when it's close to getting finalized, usually you don't hear about it until, like, the actual report comes out. Like, how much reporting was done about Bungie being acquired by Sony? Not that much until it was officially announced. So, again, this is going to constantly be in flux, and we might just wake up one day and Microsoft has them or Sony has them. Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. All right, moving on from that, do want to note, here's another interesting note from Warner Brothers. Gotham Knights has been rated in Taiwan, but only for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. Now, I would take this with a grain of salt for now, but the fact that it's only been rated for the PS5 and Xbox Series is very interesting, because in the past, when you get deeper into a generation and you have these cross-gen games, sometimes the previous generation version does get the axe and you don't see it be fully realized. I believe Mad Max was initially supposed to have a Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 release, but that ultimately did not happen. I believe Dying Light was another game that was supposed to have a cross-gen release, and then ultimately the previous generation got canceled. I do remember, like, Shadow of Mordor, I want to say, did have a cross-gen release, but it came out like a month later on 360 and PS3, and like nobody talked about it. So maybe they're looking at the standpoint of, what is worth the investment for the PS4 and Xbox One version. I think the investment there is much greater than what it would be previous generations, just because, there's a lot of people that don't have a PS5 or Series yet, but that could have been the case in previous generations as well. So something to look at. Again, I would take it with a grain of salt at this point. I do think the last generation version will ultimately come out, but we'll see how that turns out. There is going to be a beta test running for the game, so maybe it'll just be a next-gen beta test that this listing is coming from. So again, take that with a grain of salt for now, but something to keep an eye on. Gotham Knights is a game that I really just don't feel the anticipation is there for it right now. However, I could very well see this being like a Guardians of the Galaxy situation, where there's not a lot of buzz going into the release, and then, it's WB Montreal, a talented studio there. Maybe they're gonna do something really good with this game. I just don't think people were blown away by the gameplay demo that we saw in the gameplay we've seen thus far, but it is Gotham, you know. It's got a lot of notable characters and iconic characters that people are just going to inherently be invested into. So I imagine the game is going to do seemingly pretty well, all things considered. And yeah, we'll see how that turns out. And again, that should be out sometime in 2022, currently listed for October 25th. Initially was supposed to be out in 2021, so a little bit in flux. Deep delay on that one. But that was the initial targeted launch for 2021. So 2022, we'll play that in October. But that's going to do it for me. Again, as far as WB Games, an acquisition from Microsoft or Sony would be absolutely huge, but Tencent's got a lot of capital as well, so we'll see how that turns out. And Gotham Knights rated in Taiwan, but just for PS5 and Xbox Series. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.